I would train so hard and think every day, I need this title, I need this title, I need this title. And when I got it, I was like, cool, next. When you're defending a title, losing is part of the game. You just train hard enough that it's not possible to lose. You have to think about it. I mean, it's like the Cirque du Soleil acrobat. They don't do it so they don't get it wrong. They do it so they can't get it wrong. Resilience, one of those things that you have to learn yourself, because everyone's resilience is different. Everything happens. So many things happen. You have to get over it. You have to work around it. You have to work on it, because nothing's perfect. Nothing will ever go the way you want it to do. Do you think I've had every fight and it's gone exactly how I wanted to? Absolutely not. I could probably count on one hand how many fights I had where I wasn't injured.
On today's episode, 3 times Muay Thai world champion, Charlie Peters. Charlie, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
How did you end up doing Muay Thai?
So I used to play rugby just at club level. Loved it. Really enjoyed it. Really good fun. Then, so at the time I was playing every Sunday. Then the matches became to be played on a Saturday. I think you hit a certain age in rugby. You play club at Sunday, and then I think it's like 18, 17, it goes to Saturday. I couldn't, because I was working in the salon every Saturday. I had one Saturday off a month. So I was like, okay, this sucks. I'm going to have to do something else. And literally, it's just incredible how the world worked. One of the older guys around the area took me to Muay Thai, and I just got hooked. I'd always...
Straight away,
yeah,
like that.
After my first session, I went every day for the next month, I think. It worked out well. Work finished at 6. That started at 7. So I just drove straight there.
What made it click for you? My
dad used to box as a kid, and then he kind of took it up a little bit more, I want to say like late 30s, early 40s, just as a hobby. But he was, really into it. He had like 25 white collar fight. With him doing that, I didn't live with him, but obviously I was very close to him and spoke to him a lot. So we'd always be talking about training and what he's done and what I could do. Then when I found Muay Thai, he was like, great, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Then we had a lot more to talk about. Then within Muay Thai, for the listeners that don't know what Muay Thai is, obviously it originates from from Thailand, which is Thai boxing. And you're able to punch, kick, elbow and knee. And it's all stand-up fighting, so it's not in a cage, so you don't go to the floor. All stand-up, and you get to basically use the 8 weapons of the body. So slightly different.
Which are?
Punch, kick, elbow, knee. 2 punches, 2 elbows, 2 knees, 2 kicks. Sorry. It was the best form of stand-up fighting that you could do. Right? I fell in love with it. So I had the common factor with my dad of the sport. But what I enjoyed about the sport was, one, I was a beginner, so I had something to learn. Very similar to like when I had to start learning and progressing in rugby, and I had that with hairdressing. So Muay Thai made me, that beginner again, so I had something to learn. And when you start watching fight sports, yes, they're seen as barbaric and, aggressive and blood sport or whatever, but there's a real art to it. There really is, and there's very much a chess game to it. I love technique. I'm a bit of a perfectionist and attention to detail, especially because of the hairdressing. So I wanted to make sure that my kicks were perfect, my punches were good. I wanted to get better, I wanted to get stronger.
Is there such a thing?
No, which is perfect. Which is the best thing. Which is what I love about it the most is, I used to make this quote up called 9 out of 10, because there's always room for improvement, but you'll never get there. So everything is always 9 out of 10. How was the fight? You won the fight, great. Yeah, but it was okay. And you ask any fighter this, or anyone in any sport, whether it's, I don't know, a golfer or a snooker, tennis player, whatever. They're like, yeah, I won well, but I still missed this shot. I didn't do that. Could have done that better. So you're always striving for perfection, and you'll never reach it, which makes it enjoyable.
This is so interesting. I want you to delve a little bit deeper in this point, because I think if you don't manage this philosophy well, it can end up being ultimate frustration, continuous frustration, and this search for the next thing. But then if you manage it correctly, then you use it as fuel to always motivate you whilst being satisfied
for sure
with what you already have. So how do you manage that balance?
you have to appreciate that nothing's ever perfect, but you also have to appreciate when it is pretty good. Because if you don't...
So objectivity, in a way.
Yeah, like, it's like celebrating the small wins. It's like, yeah, I won. Great, fantastic. That's what I wanted to do. How can I make it better? You know, and it's... I mean, look at the Roger Federer. He's just retired, right? But look at the career he's had. And I think he's, 41 years old? You know, and he's been doing that probably since he was a kid. He's incredible. But yet he practices every day. If not, he practices more than an amateur. But yet he's the top of the game. And it's like Ronaldo in football, Michael Phelps in swimming. You know, they're striving for perfection, which never happens. They enjoy the journey of it, but they appreciate it when they hit those milestones and hit those small wins. You know, so there's a fine balance between, okay, it's not going to be perfect, but it's pretty fucking good.
Love that. It's always about the balance, right?
Can I swear at that?
Hey.
We're adults?
Yeah, we're adults.
I hope so.
Tell me about the moment that you decided to pursue that professionally.
After actually joining Muay Thai, I had my first amateur fight 3 months into it. So I had a fight very early on. I had to finish my hairdressing qualification. That was a couple years. Then I had to do a year on the salon floor. So I was like contracted to that year. So I thought, well, this is a great time to sort of save money. I'm going to go to Thailand. It started off like, I don't know, I'm going to go for 6 months, go for a good time. Because with Thailand being where the sport was born, it's one of the best places. You've got nothing to worry about but training for 6 hours a day. So, you know, you're in it. So
every day?
Every day.
Wow.
6 days a week. You get 1 day off. But it was generally too hot and you were too exhausted, so you'd end up just staying in your room anyway. You know, you're training 6 days a week. You get to go and watch it at the stadiums 3 times a week. You're watching it on the TV. I mean, you couldn't do anything more, you know? So, and in my sport, for instance, that's what a lot of people do. Now it's like glorified. Now there's so many training camps in Thailand. People go for holidays. I think it's great. Fitness is amazing. I'm talking, I went maybe 11 years ago, and the gym that I went to, I was the only English speaking person there. You know, there were, the majority were Thai, and there were about 4 French guys. In the salon, I had to finish off that, I had to do my year on the shop floor. Then I went to do 2 years in Thailand. I think it worked out 18 months in total. So when I came back, I worked back in the salon because I needed a job, of course. Because fighting professionally is not a sustainable lifestyle. And it doesn't pay as well as what people think. Then, a year later, my coach, Kieran Kedel, opened up his own gym. And he needed someone to take classes and be there for the days that he wasn't. And he just, you know, he basically just said to me, would you be up for it? PT all day, train twice a day myself again. And I can cut hair wherever I want.
So you were doing everything at the same time, basically?
Literally.
Wow.
When I look back here now, I'm like, how the hell did I do it? My energy levels were just, I mean, I was younger as well. Definitely not that age now. But it was, I mean, I was only in one gym location. So I'd get there at like 8, 9 a.m., PT, then train, PT throughout the day, train in the evening, PT in the evening, then go home. And I used to live like 20 minutes away in the car. You know, so it was, I used to go home, cook, shower, bed, do it all again.
Discipline.
All my life. Yeah, I'm the boring guy.
When was the first title?
I won an English amateur title. The amateur.
So you were able to professionally compete and actually win these titles whilst you were also juggling all these other things?
You have to, because you don't get paid enough. Back then, like this was like, 8 years ago maybe, Muay Thai doesn't pay very well, despite what people think when they look at Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, Jake Paul, whatever. Like, yeah, it pays really well now, and there's certain boxers that make very well from it, but they don't realize how much of a struggle it is. And with Muay Thai, there's absolutely no money in the sport, especially when I was fighting. And there was even less years before, you know, when my coach was training. There's a promotion at the moment in Southeast Asia, which I fought on a couple times. And they pay really well, and there's the potential to make good money. But in general, no. So you have to work. as well as try and fight. The fighting is essentially a hobby, but it's a glorified hobby because I made it a life hobby. But if I wasn't PTing or cutting hair on the side, I wasn't making any money.
That's fascinating.
Sometimes, I've had fights before where I would be in debt. So let's just say I have the week off before and then a couple of days off after the fight for injuries or worst case scenarios. So the money I'd lose out on that week, say 2 weeks, I probably made in the fight. So now I'm break even. So I basically fought for free.
Just by listening to this, I'm having so much... Already, it's really obviously a respectful sport, but I'm just having so much more respect now in this light that it's literally a dream that you're fighting for. Like you're fighting for your possibility to fight on a daily basis.
You've got to do it for the love of it. You've got to do it because you enjoy it. It's
very different from other sports where people get into them basically sometimes or often to earn money.
Yeah.
Status.
But then also, people forget at how long it's taken them to get there. So, also, what was a good example I just had? Like Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's done phenomenal because he's made his life through fighting. Great. And there's a lot of boxers that have as well, like Mayweather, like Pacquiao, all these boxers, whatever, but it's the struggle with it. As you start off as a professional boxer, some people don't know this. Unless you have a very good manager who will pay you, you need to earn your stripes. So as a professional boxer starting out, you get 50% ticket deal. You have to sell a lot of ticket and then you get 50%. So if you only sell £200 worth of ticket, you get £100. But then, I had a friend who was doing it. He'd sold £6,000 worth of ticket. He makes $3,000. Great. And people always go, it's not bad for a night's work. Yeah, but what about the 10 weeks before that? What about the food he hasn't eaten? The cost he's had to buy certain foods? The time off of work he's had to sleep? I had to do it as well. In fight camps, I'm like, normally I'd train someone at 8 o'clock after training. Can't do it tonight. Now you're missing out on weekly income. Now that person's going to look to train somewhere else. Now you could potentially lose that client.
There's a lot of sacrifices that go into this.
Huge amount. And like I say, one of the biggest boxers or up and coming boxers at the moment is like Conor Ben. Conor Ben's great. He's a phenomenal fighter. And he had a big fight until someone pulled out. He's doing very well. He's lucky because of his surname. But then you look at the work that his dad's done, earn that. The sacrifices are, unthinkable. And Conor Ben's having to work just as hard and he's still putting in the same amount of effort, but yet the returns they could always be better, right? But with Muay Thai, you're really doing it for the love of it. And that's lost nowadays, especially with some of the fighters coming up and coming out. Because they see these other fighters. Social media has made it easy for people to kind of go, oh wow, like you must be making loads of money. 10 grand a fight?
Instagram is not real life.
Tell me about it.
What do you think allowed you to win these 3 champion titles? What made you that good?
My coach, definitely. It's very much a solo sport. It's very much me in the ring. But without listening to my coach, I wouldn't have been able to win all those fights. Without my team helping me, pushing me. And then obviously, there's a lot that I have to do with it as well, because ultimately I have to go get up and do the runs when I don't want to. I have to go out in the cold. I have to push through the tiredness and I've had a big long day of work. Still got to train. Still got to do it. Still got to make sure I eat this food, that food. Can't eat this. The amount of birthdays, weddings, social events that I've missed out on. But for me, it's like, okay, cool. I don't mind that because I'm doing something that I'm passionate about and it's going to be worth it. And it always is. It always is. But people do not realize the sacrifices for it. So I remember once fighting over in America and the weigh-ins, you have to weigh in a day before, so you have to be a certain weight. The weigh-in was my birthday. So I had to make weight on my birthday. So my birthday cake, if you like, was a Dunkin' Donut. I was in a casino. It was a Dunkin' Donut. I had a chocolate donut. That was my birthday cake for my birthday. But you know what? Like, I don't care about that. And it's, don't feel sorry for me. It's like, that was just part of it. It worked out. My birthday was on the check weight day. Cool. I fought on the 25th. And then I'll just celebrate it when I get back with my family. So, but to a lot of people, oh no, I can't go. I can't fight because I've got a holiday book. Man, I didn't go on holiday for,
I imagine
for years.
people that choose that mentality don't really get.
No, I never last. I mean, listen, I'm 33 next week. So it's like, I've lived it. And there's a part of me that could go, yeah, but life's for living. You've got to enjoy it. But then I don't regret anything I've done. And like I said, there's a lot of younger athletes now won't have the sacrifices because they're selfish in terms of they don't think they should, they don't have to, they don't want to. And I'm like, dude, like, don't go out, don't drink. But it's so boring. So?
I think it's always about whether your dream is big enough.
It depends on if you want to pursue it. I know a lot of people in the sport and also in and around work that want it for the image, but they don't want to do it. And then obviously social media is the biggest thing for it, right? And like, I use my social media a lot more for training now. Or should I say I publicate it a lot more. And, sometimes I get talking to clients and they're like, wow, you train so much. And I'm like, no, I just put it up, and because I don't care about posting up. It's only usually training, food, funny things like that I might be doing or that I find funny. And then the occasional family because, it's nice for clients to see personality. But otherwise, I could easily come off of Instagram. But it's like, well, I might as well use it because people want to see me as the athlete I am. So, okay, this is a training I do. The best one I get is, do you ever have a rest day? And I'm like, dude, I had 3 days off last week. I might not have posted on it or made it public, but I had 3 rest days in a row. People look at me like, well, you train so much. And I'm like, no, it's not that at all. It's sometimes they just happen, they're accidental. But sometimes I'm like, do you know what? I need to rest.
Use of internet and use of Instagram in particular, which is a big topic for me. I think you have to be so careful and so intentional about how you use it, emphasis being on you use it. Otherwise it will end up using you. And I think so many people are stuck in that stage where they're being manipulated by the app and not the other way around. I think when you are able to use it for work, that's amazing. And the only other reason that you should be probably using it is having, your close friends profile where you're literally just using it as an album and an update with people that live abroad, etc. Otherwise, it goes into the toxic environment. Yeah,
it's a strange. I had it when I lived in Thailand, and it was a case of like just uploading cool pictures here and there for my friends to see. It's like a public photo album. It's the amount of times we used to sit down with a photo album, look at cool pictures. It's great, right? So now you do it, but on digital, and building up that fighter life. You get people that follow you as an athlete. And I know that I sit on it sometimes a bit too much, sometimes a bit too long. I do like it because, before off camera, we were talking about a TV, and sometimes it's nice to not do anything, not use your head, not use your brain. Like, I work in gyms, we're around people quite a lot, both of us. It's energy zapping. I love it. I'm not moaning. But when I go home, I live on my own and I enjoy that. I put the TV on, I watch like a kid's film from Disney or whatever. Yeah, that's your way of
recharging your batteries,
right.
Yeah.
But then also on the flip side, just like we listen to podcasts, I like watching videos of athletes that I watch, or bloggers, or YouTubers and stuff like that, all with stuff that I do. Plus, I like watching things that I'm interested in that help me with my life, whether it be fitness professionals. Oh, I've never seen that exercise before. I'm going to put that in my class. That's how you learn things, right? That's how everything evolves. Or I really like that training session that athlete's done. I'm going to try that, or this meal, that meal. All these sorts of things. You just got to know why you're using Instagram. And, you know, it's weird when you see, like, I've got a 14-year-old sister, and I sometimes think, why are these kids on social media? Maybe they're doing it to, like, put pictures up of their friends. Then I'm like, why are they putting up so many selfies? We know what they look like. You know, and then that's when, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, I'm sure I've put up a few selfies, you know, definitely a few topless ones, especially if the light's good, you know, and I'm not afraid to admit that, but it's not what my social media is about, you know, and talking about the topless, I'm a big believer in it doesn't matter what you look like, it's what you can do with it. That's a different kind of topic we can go into, but I think if you know why you're using social media to help benefit you, great. But if it's not, and you're just using it for the sake of it, are you on it to follow suit with everyone else?
I think we can actually take it even a step further. So this is level 1, where you're being intentional about how you're using it for yourself. And hopefully you're using it, not the other way around. But then there's the next level, which is taking responsibility of what you're portraying and what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
So from what you said, I can really hear that you are intentional about it, and you're putting out things that are in line in what you're doing, of course, but the things that you're doing are also beneficial for people. So you're putting out fitness, you're putting out nutrition, and you're putting out good stuff, basically, that is helpful for people. And I really respect that. For example, I've had this struggle in my own life for a long time where I felt like me and my Instagram are two different entities.
Okay.
And in fact, over the years, very many times I was hesitant in accepting, because I had a private profile, I was hesitant in accepting people, because each single time I would be like overlooking everything, and I'd be like,
why was you private?
Why?
Yeah.
That's a story for another time. But I am I've always been a private person.
Yeah.
But
do you know
the
the funniest thing about that? I am as well. And it's funny because I've done a funny video with one of my little sisters. And I remember going into work and one of my managers was like, I didn't know you had a little sister. I'm like, I have 3 sisters. She's like, what? She's like, I didn't know this. And I'm like, but why would you? Like, you know, what I put on social media isn't me doing everything and anything, you know? This is what I want you to see. But yeah, I've got 2 amazing brothers. It's like, you know, but you don't need to know that because that's not what we're here for.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always a thin balance between understanding what you want to put out there, given that everyone can see it. So I've always been hyper aware of that. But going back to what I was saying, I've had this struggle, right? And that's because I always thought, somehow I intuitively felt that what is on my Instagram is not all of me. It's like the picture perfect version of the best highlights of my life, which is cool. But I realized at some point that I almost feel like I'm lying to myself, because that is not 100% of who I am. And I've always had this desire of this ultra authenticity and just this sharing and connection, like we spoke earlier as well. Even what I'm doing now and the direction that I'm taking, I want people to see the real me. Yeah. And which goes far beyond just a pretty photo. Don't get me wrong. I love pretty photos. Like everyone does, right?
Yeah, of course.
And that's cool. And it's cool to have those on there. But I think if we look around and we look at these, you know, I don't know how many million followed profiles, they only have this picture perfect stuff there. And I think that's when it becomes unhealthy. And that's when we're setting wrong examples for the younger generation
1,000%.
And for people that are watching, because they think, oh, they're always perfect. They're always super glamorous. They're always on the jet and on the this. And there's nothing wrong with that side of life. But it's important to understand that those are the highlights. And there's all the other side to the life as well, which is, you know, walking around in your jammies, sweatpants, and like being tired and
hair
exhausted and hair up.
No makeup on.
Yeah. And it's cool. And then it's about, okay, but what else are you about?
Well, it's fun. Like magazines are like this as well. I remember looking at, I used to love reading some of these magazines in the salon. And it's funny how much they scrutinize Leonardo DiCaprio going down to the shop in tracksuits.
Who cares?
No, but this is what I mean. It's like people do that. You know, it's and this is the thing with Instagram. I used to work with someone who was so insecure about it. You know, it was all about an image. It was all about being perfect and this and that. And I'm like, but nothing is perfect, right? We just had this conversation. And one thing I've made sure that I am on my Instagram is real. So a couple of weeks ago, I entered into a triathlon because I've retired from fighting. Thank you. I didn't do it. This is the funny thing. So I've retired from fighting in 2019, gone into triathlons. I have done 2 and then a swim bike event. So I was meant to do this triathlon, signed up to it. I knew it was coming, but again, it was more so just to keep active, right? Just to keep doing it. It's a big session after all. It's a 1,500 meter swim, 60 kilometer bike ride, and then a 10K run, all in the same day. Normally what I do, this was up in Buckinghamshire, we were in London, so it was an hour, 45-minute drive. What I like to do is I get a hotel there the night before, go out, have a big feed, pizza, pasta, go on my own. Go there in the morning, register, do the event, drive home, whatever. The night before the event, I have a birthday party. It's my best friend's, and obviously I was going to go. I don't drink alcohol. I haven't drank in 4 years, out of choice. And the party goes on a little bit later, so I don't get home until maybe 9 p.m. Got to pack my stuff, get up there. I eventually get there. It's 11:15 p.m. I eventually get into the room. So now it's 11:45, midnight, 11:45. And I'm like, right, okay, I'm up at 5:30. I need to go sleep. Now the room was great. Bed was super comfy, but it was on top of a pub. And obviously I had to have the windows open. It was pretty warm. Luckily I sleep with earplugs anyway. Couldn't shut off. Couldn't calm down. You know, my body was going on a high. I got woken up twice in the night. One was by a noise outside from the pub. And then another, I had hunger pain, which is weird because I've been out for dinner. So anyway, I get to sleep or whatever, wake up in the morning, 5:30. I feel exhausted. Like I just feel exhausted. Start making this coffee. I had like little porridge pots that I have before I go to the event. And I'm sitting there and all these things going through my head. I'm starving before the event, right? And I know I'm only going to be hungry. This is like a 3.5, 4-hour event. Swimming's new to me, and psychologically, it's still very hard to get in open water and swim this distance non-stop. I have done it and I can do it, but yet it's still my own mental barrier. So I've got that in the back of my mind. I'm hungry. I've got a big bike, big cycle, and then obviously a run. So I'm like, do you know what? I'm not going to do it. But for the first time, and it kind of took me back. I remember thinking to myself, I've already put it up on my Instagram story that I'm doing a triathlon tomorrow. I've got people are messaging me like, good luck. I've told people that I'm doing it. In my head, I'm like, I'm going to have to delete them. Like, people ask me, I'll just say, oh, I didn't do it or whatever. And I thought, no. I'm going to tell people I'm not doing it. Funny enough, I text my dad because I know he'd only worry. I said, look, not doing it. Head's not in the right place. I'm not going to do it. I just can't. And the first thing he texted back was, that's the right thing to do. Well done. Because he knows. But what people forget, one, I'm not getting paid for this, right? I'm not getting paid for it. I do this for fun, and this is my own choice. Now, again, doing it for fun, if I do something like this and I absolutely hate it, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to want to do it. If it was for a world title or I was getting paid a lot of money, listen, I would have toughened up, I would have got through it, and I would have done it. And I would have smashed it out of the park. I know I can do that because my previous life experiences have shown me that. But I'm in a position now where I can say no because it's only me. So, funny enough, I eat the porridge, I go straight to bed, get a couple more hours in me. Anyway, I wake up, I do a story on social media. I've started talking into the camera a little bit more so people can kind of relate. I got so many views on this story and I just told everyone how it was. I woke up, didn't feel like it. Everything is fine. I'm just super tired, super hungry, and I just wasn't feeling it. And I'm happy to admit that. I got some incredible responses from a lot of people I didn't even know that looked at my stories. And what was nice as well is these people that were saying, I can relate to that so much.
Authenticity. Authenticity is today's currency on the internet. I think.
Without even trying. Yeah. Like, I'm not doing it for likes. I'm not doing it for praise.
No, but that is authenticity. You were just authentic because you are.
Right. And people can relate to it. And you know, it's one of those where it's like, yeah, I'm human. I may not act it, I may not seem it, but I still am. And like I said to like at the end of it, I was like, I'm happy to admit. And you know, again, I didn't do it to get response from whatever. I done it because of people following me. You know, I have to think, why am I following you? I'm following you because I enjoy your life. I enjoy what you do. I enjoy watching all the holidays you go on monthly. You know, you know, I have that interest, so I do want to know, and I have to respect. As much as I have the imposter syndrome, people want that from me as well. So I was like, listen, I didn't do it, and I'm happy. I'm happy I didn't.
Talk to me about imposter syndrome. How does that manifest for you?
Oh, dude, it's like I've had it for so long. I had it when I was fighting.
How does it feel?
Awful, because I don't know why I have it. If someone was talking to me about it, I would be bigging that person up left, right, and center, telling them all the amazing things.
No, I literally want to
shouldn't.
know, like, if you had to describe the feeling, how would you describe it? Because I keep hearing this over and over again. Everyone's talking about it. And I'm like, okay, fine. But then at some point, I just clock myself thinking a certain way, feeling a certain way. And I'm like, is this the imposter syndrome?
Yeah, it's like you shouldn't be doing this podcast. You shouldn't be doing this. You know, there's that's what you say in your head. That's what you feel. And you're like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. With fighting, you know, I was getting flown to America. I was fighting for like world titles and everything. And I'm like, I can't believe it. Like, I don't feel like I should be. But I've earned my right to be there. There's no reason why I shouldn't be there. I deserve to be there. But yet, oh my God. And you know, I never tell people my accolades, especially on the first time meeting them, because I don't feel like that should portray who I am. You know, I am who I am because of that. But especially being a fighter, I feel like people have a different persona. You know, when I was younger, growing up, and you know, I was fighting a lot and was going out to clubs, I'd always meet people that go, yeah, I'm a fighter. And I'm like, oh, great. What do you do? Cage fighting. No. You do mixed martial arts, which is fought in a cage. I have fought in a cage, but Thai boxing doesn't make me a cage fighter. So now all of a sudden they've got this persona of, I'm a cage fighter. And what do people think of cage fighting? Brutal. Oh, it's so aggressive. Oh, it's like
they almost feel like they need to associate themselves and portray themselves in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And when I speak to them a bit more and we digress it a bit more, I'm like, oh, you just train. You haven't had a fight. No, I want to fight. I'm like, why are you telling people you're a fighter? And you know, then I was like, I don't want to be seen as that guy, because if you've had that experience with someone before, and the first thing I say to you is like, yeah, no, I'm a fighter. You go, oh, I met one of those before. He was a dickhead. Because back then, you know, most people were. Usually people who are fighters, who are good fighters, won't tell you they're fighters. So if I ever meet someone who says that, I always ask how many fights they've had. Whereas typically, especially in England, you tell someone you're a fighter, how many fights have you had? Instantly, before you've even answered, how many have you won? Right? Like, why does that matter? Right? It's like, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because I know fighters who have won a lot of fights, but they haven't fought anyone of caliber. So now their history of fighting, yeah, great. You've won a lot of fights with the people that you're fighting, and you can only fight who's in front of you, but you're not fighting anyone challenging. So does that make you a good fighter? To me, no. You need to be fighting a good roster of fighters. And you know, I like it when I tell people's face, you know, how many fights have you had? I had 67 professional fights, and I had 12 or 13 amateur fights. So I had a very short amateur career, but I had a hell of a lot of experience professionally. And seeing people's faces kind of go, oh, wow. You know, and it's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like, you know, I've lived it. But nowadays you get some fighters that go, yeah, no, you know, I'm a fighter, but I've had 10 fights. And I'm like, okay, steady on. You still got nappies on. So, you know, chill the ego a bit. You have to have it. You have to be self-confident. But you have to know when you can and when you can't. And it's like, look, relax. Keep it for in the gym and when you're training. But you don't need to portray it so much.
It's so interesting that I've also observed this in people that I've met throughout my life, that it's always people that feel like they need to prove something, aka there are some insecurities which are based on some other things, have this need to prove something to people that are the ones, the loudest.
The loudest one in the room is always the weakest one.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's hard though, Dana, because I find in London, you know, someone told me once before in London, they were like, you need to talk about yourself. You need to say how good you are. So then people not sort of respect you, but they're kind of like, oh, okay. Because in London, you have to, right? Because everyone's semi-competing, if you like, right? Because they want to be noticed. They want to be known. They want to be friends with everyone, right? And I'm like, yeah, but it will happen. Again, who I was talking about, Marco, before. I remember once he said to me, early on, he was like, you never let people know too much about you and you never let on enough. Because he used to be a martial artist. So martial arts is slightly different to fight. It's a form of fighting, but it's very much, there's a big like respect to it. It's very much Shaolin, you know, so it's the way of the warriors, as they say, very calm and relaxed. He was a doorman, so he was security on a door, but you'd never think about it. It was just a little bit taller than me, wider but strong, you know. And his martial arts, the way they used to, you know, we used to train a little bit. It's phenomenal. It's scary, but you would never, ever know. And that was always scarier to me than someone walking in with a tattoo on their face, you know, with muscles coming out of their t-shirt. Because I later learned it doesn't matter what you look like. Going back to the loudest one in the room, it's like, you can tell me how good you are when it's appropriate.
Exactly.
If you're telling me before I've even asked,
there's a problem.
Right, okay, cool.
What did the years abroad, fighting internationally against the best of the best, teach you about human nature?
Human nature? How do you mean? That's a trick.
I know. About yourself and about others and that relation.
I'm lucky because Muay Thai is an extremely respectful sport. Extremely. In Thailand, when you're about to fight, you're warming up in the same place as your opponent. So you get a Thai massage before, well, not a traditional Thai massage. Before a fight, they lay you down and they rub you with Thai oil, like really hot oil, and it's basically a warm-up, right? Warms all the muscles up. I remember once laying on this wooden bed, getting a full body massage, arms, legs, you know, 10-minute massage, warming everything up. As soon as I got off, my opponent laid on the same bed. They don't wipe it down. This was way before COVID, right? Germs don't exist in Thailand. You know, he's now laying on the same bed. Okay. And we're shadowboxing. I'm shadowboxing, walking past him. That's how close we are, right? There's no pad work. There's no drilling work or anything like that you see in boxing and UFC. You're shadowboxing. That traditionally is because the round is 5 rounds and each round builds up. So technically you don't do the pads. That changes country to country as such. But in Thailand, then when you're about to walk out to the fight, I'm sitting next to my opponent. We're sitting next to each other. Like I can, you know, as closer than what you and I are now. Right? He's sitting next to me. And then you go into the ring and then you try and knock each other out and cut each other's faces with elbows. And then afterwards, the first thing Thai people used to always say was sorry. They used to say, I'm sorry, you know, thank you. And I was like, why is he saying sorry? Because he's hit you. We're here for it, right? We're here for the game. And as soon as they knock you out or you knock them out, it's boom, you go show your respect. So sorry, help them up. It's like the respect is unparalleled, right? That's kind of lost a little bit when you have to sell a fight. So traditional boxing, when you have to sell the fight, pay-per-views or whatever, that's where you can make a lot of money. Conor McGregor was great at it, right? Smack talking, but then straight after the fight, he was generally very apologetic and, you know, he was the nicest guy ever. But before the fight, he was an absolute arsehole. And we've had that with boxing before. I mean, I'm not saying he's an arsehole, but Muhammad Ali was one of the best smack talkers around. A loved fighter, but one of the first to ever do it. But when you look back at it, he's just being over cocky and confident to his opponent. You know, trying to get in the mind games. Floyd Mayweather does it. Everyone hates it. You know, so when you have to sell the tickets for it, it becomes different. But ultimately, at the end of it, you're just two sportsmen. It's like a running race, but you just have to hit each other. And fighting in Thailand, living in Thailand, you're all working together, especially in the training camp. You're all working together, so you're that family unit. Then when you go abroad, I remember fighting in China once. So let's say South Korea. I was fighting in South Korea another time, and I was fighting this kickboxing sort of semi-legend. Everyone was there to see him. I didn't get booed. I didn't get cheered a lot, but I didn't get booed. I ended up winning the fight. I knocked him out, thank God, because I was losing it. Managed to knock him out in the last round. So nice, like such a nice guy. He came up, hugged me. The Korean fans afterwards asking for pictures, autographs, they loved. I've just knocked out one of their guys, but they were so just nice. Because
that's so typical to the Asian culture. Right. Why are we missing this?
Well, I remember fighting in France once, and I remember walking out. I got booed. I just laughed. I've got pictures of me walking out, and I'm just laughing like I knew this was coming. I lost that fight, but I put up a good fight, and I got a lot of respect given to me afterwards because people were like, that was a good fight, like well done, and they can see the heart and they can understand it. I mean, listen, it's like football matches. Well, let's say rugby matches because football they have the rivalry. Rugby matches, you sit next to your opponents as well. So England, New Zealand, I might be sitting next to a Kiwi, and we'll be talking smack, but at the end of it, it's like, wow, that was a good game. That was really good. You deserve to win that. And it's sport. It's what part of sports is, I think. And there's no reason to hate after all. I mean, there are generally people that you don't like in fighting, but Muay Thai is very much a respectful game. Although I had to call someone out once, and it put ripples in the scene purely because it was me that said it. At the time he was number 1, I was number 2, and he's the best. He still is. He's still fighting now. Liam Harrison, phenomenal fighter, and yeah, I called him out, and everyone was like, "Oh my god,"
because it's so
unheard of in the sport. Yeah. It's someone will get interviewed for an up and coming fight. Who do you want to fight? And they'll go, well, I don't know. I don't mind whoever's there. And I just went, no, I want to fight Liam. I deserve to fight him. And it just went boom. He didn't think I deserved to fight him. And people were just like, what? This is crazy. Like, how dare he? He was 1. I was number 2. I had beaten number 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right. So I deserved to fight. Right. Yeah. On the UK scale. But yeah, outside of the UK, Leon was still fighting much higher caliber fighters. But yeah, so it wasn't disrespectful. It was, no, I want to fight you. I wasn't calling him any nasty names. I was like, I just want to fight.
Yeah, I thought you were going to tell me something extremely dramatic.
No. I mean, well, the only dramatic thing that happened from it was the fight got confirmed. A couple of weeks later, he had to withdraw from the fight because of an injury. So to spice things up, I got interviewed again, and I was like, "Well, we knew it was coming. I knew he'd do it." And then and that put the cat amongst the pigeons. But that was more enjoyment because then I was like, "Cool, now I've got it." And I had to do other talks as well leading up to the fight. And they're behind the camera. They're like, "You can talk a bit of smack now, like really big out." And I'm like, I look at them dead in the eye and I go, "I still get paid X. It doesn't matter if I talk smack about him or not. People want to see this fight. No one outside the Muay Thai community is going to want to watch this other than people that know how big this is, right?" I said, so, I've got the fight I wanted. I'm happy.
Fair enough. Did you experience pressure to maintain the titles once you obtained them?
Yeah, definitely. But
how did you manage that?
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, you do. It's funny because I would train so hard and think every day, I need this title, I need this title, I need this title. And when I got it, I was like, cool, next. And I don't know, it was weird. I mean, when you're defending a title, there is always that okay, but then also it's like losing is part of the game. You just train hard enough that it's not possible to lose, or you can't lose. It's like
Just.
Well, you have to, right? You have to think about it. I mean, it's like the Cirque du Soleil acrobat. They don't do it so they don't get it wrong. They do it so they can't get it wrong. So it's almost second nature. And you have to have that belief when training. And, Muay Thai is different in the respect of if you lose a fight, cool, we'll fight again in 4 weeks. But nowadays, you maybe have like 2 fights a year. It's not enough. So if you lose, it's like if you were to fight, I don't know, in October, it's like, oh, damn, I'm not going to fight now until next year. Whereas if I fought in October, I'd be like, right, what's in November? Can I get another one in December as well before the year's out? So win or lose, whatever. It's part of the game. It happens. The bigger fights, yes, you want to hold on to it. And as long as you do enough in your power to know that you can win it and you can keep it, that's all you can do. And if you don't, you don't. You get beat by the better person on the night. It happens.
Focus, discipline, and resilience. How do you train these?
Every day, every week, small step. Because you what do you say? Focus, resilience,
and discipline.
Discipline. Focus happens when you have something to focus on, obviously. I mean, I know that seems a bit, like what? But you have to have the goal, okay? So you have to have something to focus on. And not a lot of people have that. So, I mean, it seems normal now, but back then I remember when I was fighting, I was like, okay, I want to get a world title. What are the steps I need to go? Right, I need to get Southern Area, British, European, International, World. Then you start ticking off each one. Then when you get to the world, it's like, okay, I want to get this other world title or this other world title. Then you want to fight fighters. Because after a while, I was like, okay, I've won a world title. I've defended it. I want to fight a fighter now. I don't want to fight a world title. I won 3 different world titles and I defended one of them 5 times. Does that make me an 8-time world champion? Maybe. But who cares? I got to fight some of the best fighters. Sorry, I'm digressing again. But it's that focus. It's that focus of, right, get the world title. Okay. Focus on getting that fighter. Focus on achieving something. The discipline happens incrementally each day. And that could be going out and not drinking for that one night. I'm going to drink at the weekend, so I'm not going to drink tonight. Whereas normally, you drink tonight and drink at the weekend. Discipline could be, I'm going to try and get into bed by 10:30. Normally I go to bed at 11:30 or 11 maybe. Right, I'm going to try and do that. Or discipline is, I'm going to have a really healthy breakfast. I might have porridge. I'm going to have some porridge instead of McDonald's on the way to work. That's discipline because you've set yourself something and you've achieved it. But the problem is people don't see it as that. People see it as everything all the time. Not all the time. It's not all the time. Like sometimes I'll wake up and be like, right, I'm going to make protein pancakes. I'll put Nutella on them. Does that mean I don't have discipline? No. Balance. That's what fat people say. No, I'm joking. I should be fat, trust me. But it's there's nothing wrong with that as long as you know you can switch it on. And you know you can because you've done it before. And like I say, you have to do it incrementally because people try and do discipline with everything. I'm going to wake up at this time. I'm going to eat healthy all day. I'm going to train and then I'm going to go home and go to bed early. Wow.
You can be disciplined all the time in everything. That's a habit that you train incrementally.
Exactly.
Compartmentalize parts of your life and then build on it.
Exactly. But man, that's taken me like 17 years to be as disciplined as I am today. And resilience is one of those things that you have to learn yourself because everyone's resilience is different. Everything happens. So many things happen. You have to get over it. You have to work around it. You have to work on it because nothing's perfect. Nothing will ever go the way you want it to do. Do you think I've had every fight and it's gone exactly how I wanted to? Absolutely not. Man, I remember once, I could probably count on one hand how many fights I had where I wasn't injured leading up to it. And that's a normal thing for an athlete because you're training so much, you're training hard, you're dieting, you're doing a lot. That's normal. But that nowadays will stop people. I can't do this. I can't do that. For fighting, it was different. I had to pull out of a half Ironman that I trained for months because I had a slight tear in my soleus. Now again, using those 3 words that you said, my past experience was, I'm just going to do it. Doesn't matter. I could do this. But then the maturity in my head was, okay, I do this for fun. I work. I have a lot of classes and I need to be on my feet. It's not like I sit down at a desk. I'm on my feet all day, every day. I need to demonstrate exercises. I need to walk around London a lot, upstairs, downstairs. If I can't use my right leg, I'm out of work. Work are then going to take classes off of me because I can't, it's like this snowball effect of, if I do this, the risk and reward is huge. There's absolutely no reward apart from, you done it, here's your medal, well done. And the risk is, when you can't work, you've got to have a couple of weeks off. They're going to take your classes away. Who's paying my rent in London? So that, I think, is all 3 of those words. What's the word? It's like, that's the experience of knowing I can control all 3 of those words. Because I have the discipline to say no. I have the resilience to get over that. And I have the focus to go, okay, next.
Love that. You're now training in some of the best gyms in London.
Yeah.
Tell me about the transition from an athlete to a trainer.
Oh man, that was hard. It was hard. And one of the reasons I stopped fighting was because of that reason. So 2018, I had the fight for the UK #1 spot, the fight I was talking about earlier. Huge achievement for me. Oddly enough, I had absolutely nothing to lose. If I lost that fight, I was still in the exact same position I was when I started. But to me, that was everything. Because at the time, I'd been training for 13 years. He had been #1 for 13 years. I don't think he'd been beaten by an English fighter. So to win that fight, huge for me. Then circumstances changed. The opportunity to work in London came up, so I took it, jumped at it. Moved in London in 2019. I had 3 fights in that year whilst working in London. And it was great. Bangkok, Singapore, London, great fights. But I realized this isn't my life now. I'd done the world titles. I'd fought on the top names of my era. Done the #1 spot. Now I've been given a different door to walk through. A different chapter in life is the way I describe it. To work in some of the top gyms in London. Cool. A lot of fighters don't get that opportunity either. They're working in the gym and that's it. They're PTing. So I work in 5 locations around London, and all of the gyms, as you know, are phenomenal. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. Very different to the hut I used to teach out of and train out of, which is very, very spit and sawdust, which is what made me the person I am today. And I wouldn't change that for the world. I miss it quite a lot. But the transition happened because I was like, okay, I've got an opportunity now to do something else. I've done the fighting. Let's do something else. And I don't know what it was like when you came into London. When you start doing classes, people go, oh, you've got to come and do this class. This instructor's sick. Or you've got to go and do this one. Blah, blah.
It's still the same. It still works like that.
And that's what it was for me. When I came in, someone would say, oh, you've got to go and do this class here. You've got to come KXU. Da, da, da. And I'm like, amazing. I wanted to be that instructor. At the start, to me, it seemed quite big-headish. I want to be that popular instructor that everyone comes to. But then I realized, I was like, well, that's just like trying to win a world title. That I wanted to be the person that people came to watch fight. And I wanted to be that person that people came to the class and enjoyed it. And like we were talking off camera, what you learn about yourself in terms of like connecting with people, talking with people, that's what it was like for me. I don't care how many squats and push-ups or how fast you run in my class. As long as you enjoyed it, the main thing. And that really is, as hard of an instructor as I am and I push people, as long as you have fun. And after all, that's what I'm there for. So the transition was quite easy, but COVID made it harder. It was literally 2020. I was like, right, I'm going to stop doing as many PTs. I'm going to focus on classes. And then COVID was like, no, actually, you're not. So, but it was, it was good. It was great. I learned a lot. I learned a hell of a lot in COVID, within group training and about myself. And I thought, you know what? It was one of the best things that could have happened. So, but I'm not going to lie. I think about fighting every day. I miss it to a certain degree because it was such a big part of my life. However, I'm glad that chapter is done and I'm glad to be starting a new one.
Can you tell me of some of the common challenges of a fitness trainer industry?
Overworking is obviously the big one because as much as I can do PTs, I don't want to and it's logistically doesn't work out. So I have to take classes and I love that. But classes are either morning, lunch, evening. So now, do I limit my class capacity to morning and lunch or lunch and evening? Or do I do a full day? Now that's a hell of a long day. And you've been to my classes. I'm very energetic. I love giving off the energy and I expect it back. And if you don't, it is difficult because I have to give someone energy to get them through the class. That's what they're there for. So my central nervous system takes a smash. And, what is it now? It's Friday now. I keep my weekends free. I cover every now and then, but I'm like, do you know what? I need some time off. Burnout is the biggest thing I think most group instructors will get. I got it really, really bad. I had chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue at one point. A friend of mine's going through it right now. Because you're training, you're teaching, when does your social life come into it? I stopped fighting so I could have a bit more of a life. But I've realized that I have so much of a fighter's life. I look forward to going home, having something to eat, chilling out, then going to bed, getting my 8 hours. My body is so used to that lifestyle and I love it and I enjoy it. But then it's like, okay, well, when do I enjoy life otherwise? So now with my training, as much as I enjoy it and I love it, there's still hard sessions, there's still big sessions. I do this for fun. But because I'm routine to discipline and resilient, and I have a focus, it overpowers. I was training yesterday, for instance, and I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine called Sammy. He's an ex-professional boxer. I said it's really hard to train sometimes. We work with an RPE scale, rate of perceived exertion. So what you rate your effort, so 10 being maximum and 5 being, halfway there. So I had to do some sprints on the curved treadmill at 8 out of 10. And this is the hardest thing because as a fighter, someone will say, right, I want 8, I want 10 out of 10 effort because that's all you need to, that's all you know. So you give a 10 out of 10 effort, your coach will go, was that your 10 out of 10? And you'll always go, no, I could do more. Always. Even if you can't, you always will because you always have to. And you never know how much extra you can give until you have to. So in a fight, you get pushed to places where you're like, I've never been here before. And then you come out the other end and you're like, wow, my 10 out of 10 has now changed. Before that would have been 8. Now it's 8 out of 10. Whereas before, that was 10 out of 10. So, So I'm doing these sprints and I'm like, I find it really hard. This 8 out of 10, I have to feel like I can go 2 levels up. Do you see what I mean? So now it becomes a little bit harder. And with group instructors, the challenge of that burnout, you always want to do more classes because you always want to make a little bit more pocket because we're self-employed. So if at any point something happens, you're like, it's okay, I've got the money saved because I've done the extra classes. But then also you've got that, I love my job. I enjoy it. I can do another one. And you do all these classes, you're like, I need to train. Then you get so addicted to your training because you're so focused. you're so disciplined and you have the resilience, it can almost kick you up the bum. But one thing I've learned the most, going back to that story of the triathlon, I'm now in a position where I feel comfortable to go, I'm going to rest today. Today, for instance, Friday, we're doing this record and I'm resting.
I love that.
Someone invited me to a boxing class and I was like, I'd love to and I would really would enjoy it, but I know I'm going to gain so much more from this rest. I'm going to do that. Thank you. You know?
You've already shared so much with us, but if you had to share your best practices for physical and mental health.
Physical and mental health best practices. So let's go physical because I know that very well. For me, it's training, and I mean, I know that's cliche asking a PT for it, right? But I would say to someone, find what you enjoy, because there's no point me saying you should go for a run. No one likes going for a run. What do you enjoy doing? Which
I
is
like
exercise?
going for a run.
No, not you. Like, you know, I'm just saying, like, people don't enjoy going for a run. Yeah, you do. So you can relate to it, and you would. You know, you've done my PR classes before, right? And they're hard, but you feel euphoric afterwards. But you tell someone who doesn't run, right? It could be swimming, it could be cycling, it could be lifting weights, it could be going on the Stairmaster, it could be sitting on the bike. Sitting on the bike's great. And people are like, oh, it's so boring. I'm like, well, watch a documentary, watch a YouTube clip, right? Watch a podcast. I know one you could watch. And then, you know, doing something like that. And also, don't worry about time. People feel like they have to train for a long time. You do 20 minutes. Guess what happens? You start to put that focus, resilience, and discipline into action because you've done 20 minutes. You've trained. Cool, you've ticked it off. Do 25 tomorrow. Do 30. Do 40. Do 45.
Consistency over
everything.
Yeah.
Consistency is, you know, it's cliche. I mean, Instagram and the internet itself has made all these quotes cliche, if you like, but, you know, consistency is key. It took me 17 years to be this good at Muay Thai, you know, and right now I'm swimming and I feel like the beginner again, like I was in Muay Thai, and it's going to take me many years, but the level I am at swimming today was certainly not how I was 2 months ago. And going back to being real, I talk about that a lot on my social media every time. And I'll put up my times and my posts or whatever, and I've had clients come up to me going, you're getting quicker, you're going longer, you're doing more. And I'm like, yeah, you've just got to keep at it, right? So physical, find something you enjoy and do it. You know, whether it's just walking, cool. You know, again, it's cliche, but it's like, you just do it because physically you have to do something that moves the body, that releases the endorphins, the dopamine, the serotonin, get it going. You'll love it. It's euphoric. Mentally, and this is always a challenging one, because for some people it's learning new things. Great. What you're learning. What can you learn? What can you learn that can help you what you're doing now? For me, it's taking time to do nothing, because I have days where I do everything and all of it. So I like doing nothing. One of my best things I like doing is having an Epsom salt bath, sitting on Instagram, because I don't get to do it during the day. I upload my Instagram, my social.
That's your self-care routine.
One of, yeah.
Love it.
You know, and also I get massages. I haven't for a while, actually, for the last 3 weeks, I think, but I generally get a massage every 2 weeks by my guy Marvin. Been phenomenal. I used to see him every week when I was competing. So I've seen him nearly every other week since living in London for over 4 years. And I do it from a health benefit to help me with sport. But afterwards, my head feels lighter, clearer. My body feels like it can take a big deep breath. Because even people that don't train as much as me, don't realize sitting in the same position, shoulders up, walking a lot, the stress on the body. No one has time for a massage. Or the best one is, how much is it? Dude, how much do you spend on a night out? Right?
Priorities.
Do you know what I mean? I look at some of my mates and I'm like, hold on a minute, you go on 3 hinge dates a week. Like, How much are you spending there, bro? Like, you know, but yet you train every day because you want to see the results and you want your body a certain way, but you don't want to look after it.
Because there's the focus on the wrong thing, which is just the looks instead of the health.
Oh my God, don't even get me started. Don't even get...
Let's not even open this Pandora's box, huh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I grew up in a culture of fighting that it doesn't matter what you look like. You know, it really
there's
doesn't.
Functionality. You have to win the fight. You have to be better. And it's not just, it has nothing to do with how you look. It's how strong you are, how skilled you are, how fast you are, how mentally strong you are.
Like mentality is a big thing. Talking to Conor McGregor, his coach, Kavanagh, he said a famous quote that I saw someone share. And he said, if I had to train and pick one of two guys, one's got big, strong arms, and the other one's got a big bum, which one do you think he picked? He picked the one with the big bum, because that's where the power comes from for punching. The legs. The legs and the bum, because that's where the power comes from. Big arms don't mean anything. You know, and then it puts things in perspective. And there used to be a hairdressing one where a guy walks into a salon. There's two barbers. One's got a bald head. One's got a really cool, funky hairstyle. And you're like, I want him to cut my hair. So you get your hair cut with the guy who's got the cool, funky haircut. But the bald guy is the one that cut it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he's the one that cut and styled it. But yet you've gone for the guy with the image. And that relates to a lot of stuff nowadays as well, right? People, you know, there's these influencers that are like, you know, doing all these fitness workouts, but they're not fit. And, you know, it makes me laugh with it, you know. And again, luckily, because of my history and my past, what I put up is real. So yeah, I'm training. Yeah, I find it hard. But yeah, I work hard, you know, and you can. There's no reason why you can't. You just, again, you know, like I said, those three words, people feel like they have to do it all at once. No. Resilience could be not going out for a drink. Resilience could be going to training just on one day where you really don't want to do it and you go. Because this is what I love. You know, I really wanted to go to the gym, but I didn't. Well, I tell you what, get ready, walk to the gym, well, you know, go to the gym. Halfway through it, you're like, well, I'm here now. I might as well just do it. You know, no one wants to do it when they're sitting at home and it's cold outside and you're in a good position. Cool. But if you have to because you want to, because your focus is X, Y, and Z, get the discipline slowly. Go. That's the resilience. Boom. Now you're there. Even if you have a crap workout,
you still showed up.
Still, a bad workout is the one you didn't have. You know? And like I say to clients as well, there's a fine line between lazy and listening to the body. And this goes into my whole ethos of Charlie's training, but that's another box.
Which I was gonna get straight into. What's next for you?
So what's next for me is Charlie's training, and Charlie's training started off as just an Instagram quote that I was third personing myself on Instagram. I was taking people through the journey of triathlons, from fight to triathlon, and I'd be like, right, Charlie's training today looks like this. And a good friend of mine called Miles was like, you need to make that hashtag. And it just caught on. It was really surprising. It was really weird. And I'd see so many people, and the first thing they would do is take the piss out. Charlie's training. And I love that. You know, I'm all about banter. I love it when people make fun of me, and, you know, it's just soft. I love it. It's great. It's good to laugh. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to ride on this and see where it goes. And then I started getting messages from people, joke messages like, yeah, Ricky's training, just done X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, love that. I love it. Cool. Like, you know, you've done it. And then I started to get a lot of response from people on my social media who I didn't even know followed me. I'm like, okay, I've got to ride with this for a little bit. Now, my goal of it, I want to build a community of fitness enthusiasts. So I remember saying this to you before, but things are coming into action. Like, I'm doing the website. And basically what it's going to be doing, it's going to launch in the next couple of weeks. Basically, what I want people to do is they subscribe up monthly. Each week, they're going to get a training plan, which will have up to 3 strength sessions and 3 cardio sessions. Now, you don't have to do all 6 sessions. That's a lot. Do the ones that you want to. So if you want to focus on just strength, do all 3 of those. But I always encourage people to do cardio because for me, being fit is better than looking fit. So one of them will be an outside run because I think that's great for people's mental health. Get out, be with nature a little bit more, turn your phone off for an hour. One will be on the treadmill because people find it more comfortable on the treadmill and you can work with more speeds. And then one I will put in as a bike session because, yes, it's boring. I get it. I do it enough. But you're still working aerobically, cardiovascularly, which in the grand scheme of things is huge because not many people do that. What do we need? Strong heart and lungs. I don't need to look good. I need to have a strong heart and lungs. That's going to help with longevity. Then I'm going to be doing like community runs. Now, I don't want to compete with people that are already out there. I just want to take people on a jog. Let's just go for a run. Let's just talk. Let's just say you want to keep going for.
I love running outside.
Right.
I'm all up for this.
But let's just say, for instance, you don't want to go and do a 10K on your own. It's boring. Like, no one likes that. But what if you could do it with a group of people? It might not be to the speed that you want to, but you're running with 15 other people. Well, this is nice. This is cool. And then guess what? We're going to go get coffee after you come in. And I just want to build a community with it. I want people to follow the program. So imagine you go to a gym. You want to do some weights. What are you going to do? For me, training with a purpose has more to it. So it's all good going, I'm going to do some squats because I want a bigger bum. And, I'm going to do a little bit of upper body because I need to do the strength. It's like, well, why not do something with a reason? So using that RPE scale, you then understand your body. If a weight's too heavy and you get to the end, you go, that was a bit too much. Cool. That's your 8 out of 10. Now take it down. That's your 7 out of 10. If I said you go and pace yourself for a 10K run, you might not have an idea because you don't know how your body feels. A lot of people don't know how to run. I want to teach people how to run. So with that, you use heart rate. When you use heart rate, you listen to your body. What's your body saying? What's it talking to you about? Do you understand it? I want to create something so much more than, listen, there's millions of programs out there. If you wanted to improve and get stronger, if you wanted to prove your 10K and get stronger, you can go and buy a program, 150 quid, follow that for 8-10 weeks. No one does it. No one really follows it through because no one's checking in with you. No one else is doing it. It's up to you. Those 3 words you said. But not many people have those to start with. They want to. They definitely want to. But they don't realize it's not the click of a finger. It's like losing weight, dieting. People try and do it all at once. And I'm like, dude, have 1 healthy meal a day. Start off like that. Then have 1 healthy meal and 1 healthy snack. Then guess what? Once you've had a healthy breakfast, you kind of want a healthy lunch. But you get home, you're like, I'm going to have an Indian takeaway. Cool. Have it. Doesn't matter because you've had half the healthy. And then guess what? It snowballs.
You build on that, yeah.
Yeah, so, Charlie training is my next focus. And let's just say I'm extremely excited for it because I've got some really good ideas for it. All to try and do with about building a community that want to train and enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to seeing the evolution.
Look forward to seeing you on the runs.
You'll see me there.
100%.
I love that you mentioned the word purpose, which is my favorite word lately.
Yeah.
If you feel like you found yours, what is it?
I feel like I'm finding it continuously. I mean, I guess my purpose, we were talking off camera about this as well. And there's a reason why we get on so well. And we always have done because we're very similar people like that. When I look back in the salon, I like talking. I like communicating. And essentially, I have to have that person trust me within the first 15 seconds. I'm going to cut your hair how you want it. That's a big trust from a 20-year-old kid cutting an adult woman, man, okay, do I trust them? So you have to get that confidence with someone straight away. Then you connect with them. then you have to build that rapport. You're helping people. I'm helping someone feel good because they look good, because I'm doing something for them. With the fighting, it was very much for me, but then, you know, I know people were enjoying it. I know people were having fun with it. I got to do that, loved it. Now with my classes, I want people to enjoy it. I talk to the majority, I know the majority of my classes, I know all the clients there, and I try and get more people with it. Then I'm trying to, like, I ask my clients, I'm like, what music do you like? What's your favorite song? And I try and put it on the playlist, because that they wouldn't have a clue what exercises they've done, but they'll remember I played their favorite song.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right. And, you know, I always try and connect with the people on my social media as well. You know, I get people asking me questions about fighting or training or whatever it is, and I always try and talk back with it. So I've really found, I had a company in lockdown with someone, and the community aspect was me. You know, I was doing all the replies to people and pulling the people together, and I was like, hold on a minute, maybe I'm more of a people person than I think, because to me it's normal. It's normal to talk this much to people. It's normal to be like this with everyone. But I've realized it's not. And I'm like, hold on a minute. Maybe that is my power. And maybe I've got that imposter syndrome of, nah, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Or maybe I'm putting a word to what it is when it's not that.
I think it's also stages in life. The answers are always around us.
Yeah.
Since forever. They're just always there. It's just we're not ready for them.
Yeah,
And
or we don't recognize them.
Yeah, we don't recognize them because we're not ready. Like we haven't matured enough to be at that stage of our lives yet.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful, the evolution.
It's always been around it. It's always been around it. I mean, I find it very hard to go somewhere and not talk to someone. My mum's like it. My mum's amazing. And I mean, she could have a conversation with a wall. Like, that's how amazing. You know, when I take her out for something to eat, she'll always talk to people. And I definitely get it from that. I mean, my sister as well, my sister who I live with at my mum's, you know, she's amazing. And she's just, I could put her in a room with anyone. If she comes to the gym to do one of my classes, I know I don't have to go out there. You okay? You're right. This is so-and-so. Sit down. I'll be with you in about 10 minutes. I know full well I'll see her. I'll come up in a second. By the time I come back up, she knows everyone. You know, and my dad's the same, you know, with his work as a trader. You know, he's very conversational with everyone. And I think, I mean, all my siblings are, you know, it's a great trait to have. Very much my family environment is like that. We talk a lot and we have a lot of family gatherings. And I think that is like, holy cow, that might be it. That might be it. And how can I make that now? And what was sad about lockdown, the amount of suicides going on. Like, you know.
Loss of connection.
Which is weird. Because what are you doing? You're not doing anything. I was busy on this business and whatever else. But essentially, it's like you could just sit on FaceTime to your mate all day. I didn't have anyone too close to home, thankfully. But I had people that had friends. And it really upset me. I'm like, I would have been there if they rang me. Like, I don't know them, right? But, and then from that, I was like, I'm always going to make sure I check in with people. Because I might, you know, I'll send you a message, but then, you know, I might not reply back straight away. It might take me a few hours, whatever, but I've checked in. That's fine. And you forget how much that means to someone else. You know, until someone does it to you, you're like, oh, that was really nice. Yeah, I thought that was really nice. You know, and like I said, with the suicides going up, it's like, I want to make sure that I'm there for everyone as well. You know, and
hence why the community building.
Exactly that. It's one of those things where, in a world now where everyone's so connected, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok,
so accessible, but I wouldn't say connected.
Technically, we are, right?
Technically, but
you know, we used to
truly.
all be. They say that everyone in the world is connected by 8 people. Now it's gone down to 6. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, but yet everyone feels so worlds away. So you know, I'm looking forward to what I can do with Charlie's training, and you know, still keep the classes up, and I love it. Keep meeting people, for sure.
Wrap up with the last question, which is, what's your recipe for happiness?
My recipe for happiness. So I'm a Libra. So I'm huge on balance. I will say I'm not very.
How many times did we say balance? Actually,
this is what. But this is it. Like, I'm not big into star signs. I don't know everyone's. I just know mine, and I'm very big on balance. So I make sure I train a lot. I make sure I rest hard. I make sure I see my family. I make sure I eat well and eat whatever I want. And it's one of those, you can't be guilty about a lot of things. If I don't see my family as often as I want, I can't feel guilty about it because I'm busy. I have a life, they have a life. Sometimes it doesn't coordinate, but they're there for me. If I can't train, I know it's not because I'm lazy. It's because I'm busy, I'm doing things, which very rarely happens anyway. I know that if I'm working a lot, it's not a bad thing, but I know that I need to then, you need to take the time and relax a little bit. And you should never feel guilty if you're relaxing a lot, because guess what? Within a couple of weeks, no doubt, it's going to be busy again. And the recipe for happiness is never feel guilty about it. Because it's always going to flip it around on the other side. Maybe that's just my life, because I can't speak for everyone else.
Of course, it's your recipe.
It's my recipe for me. So the biggest thing is having balance and enjoying it.
Love it. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. See you next time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello friends, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe and share it with someone. I would love to hear your feedback and suggestions as to what guests you would like to see on the show next. See you next week.